From Southern Colorado's high-definition news leader, this is News Channel 13, where the news comes first.
Next on Good Morning Colorado, the 2nd Armored Brigade Combat Team is back home. The last group of the brigade returned to loved ones on the mountain post earlier this morning. Plus, the Broncos suffering their first loss of the year last night, but there's a bigger loss they'll be dealing with as the regular season starts. And police pull over a woman at gunpoint with her children watching it all go down. But it turns out police were going after the wrong person. Good morning, everybody. 8 o'clock on this Sunday morning. It's August 24th. Thanks for joining us on Good Morning Colorado. I'm Greg Miller in for Bonnie Silkman. We start with breaking news out of California this hour. A 6.0 magnitude earthquake hit the state's northern San Francisco Bay Area just a few hours ago. Take a look at this video inside someone's home when it hit. It knocked out power to more than 15,000 people in the area. The U.S. Geological Survey says it is the largest earthquake to shake the Bay Area since 1989. We'll be following that story throughout the day. Right now at 8:01, let's get a check of the forecast. Go and check our 13's Jay Polk watching weather outside this morning. So far, so good.
Indeed, it's going to be a very nice start to the morning, no question about that, Greg. We're going to see very nice conditions as we go through the afternoon as well. First thing that we're going to be tracking as we go through our Sunday will be a bit of a breeze. There will be some breezes out there this afternoon to make us really hold onto the hats and, of course, watch out in the high-profile vehicles, especially in those mountain passes as we go through the day today. Active weather takes us through the early portion of our 7-day outlook, but then it becomes much drier and cooler later on with temperatures dropping off just a shade and, of course, with all those chances for showers and storms going away. Gobbler's Knob, 63 degrees. Currently winds out of the west-southwest at 5 miles per hour. Looking back towards the wind turbines, they'll get a bit of a workout today. 60 in the spring, 62 in Pueblo, 60 also in Canyon City. Temperatures in the middle 60s already in the Plains, 66 currently in La Junta, upper 50s in Lyman. 40s are pretty common in the mountain locations. 46 currently in Alamosa is the cool spot. Day planner for today does call for a chance for showers and storms by 3 o'clock. You see a little icon there. The bulk of the storms are going to be off to the west of the Springs and Pueblo up in the mountain locations. And really along I-70s, you head over west of Denver towards the Eisenhower Tunnel. But there will be some of them that will spill their way through the region as well. So we indicate them at least graphically for you. Otherwise, temperatures are going to be topping out in the lower to middle 80s. That's pretty pleasant for this time of the year. Pretty close to where we should be. 7-day forecast does have those ups and downs, and those temperatures. We'll show you all those details, Greg, coming up in just a couple of minutes.
All right. Thanks a lot, Jay. Appreciate it. The wait is over now for 100 Fort Carson soldiers from the 2nd Armored Brigade Combat Team, 4th Infantry Division. After a 9-month deployment, they were welcomed home on the mountain post earlier this morning and reunited with their loved ones. KRDO News Channel 13's Carl Winder was at the ceremony. New this morning, he's here in the Newsplex with more on the homecoming. Carl, what a sight to see.
It was a sight to see, Greg. There wasn't a dry eye in the Fort Carson gym today. Hundreds of friends and families held up signs showing their support of the troops. The soldiers spent the last 9 months helping in Operation Enduring Freedom. We spoke with a mother who says she came a long way to see her son again.
We're excited. This is his 3rd tour of duty. We came in from Arizona last night, so we're excited. We're very happy to be here to see him.
The soldiers are also the last of the brigade to come home. Over the next 6 months, soldiers in the brigade will either move to another base, be assigned to another unit, or transition out of the Army. Live in the Newsplex, Carl Winder, KRDO News Channel 13.
All right, Carl, thank you very much. The Denver Broncos are facing a potential major blow today. Their record-breaking kicker will miss the first 4 games of the season. New this morning, the Denver Post reports Matt Prater will be suspended for violating the NFL's substance abuse policy. Prater was charged with driving under the influence of alcohol 3 years ago and has been in the league's alcohol program ever since. The 4-game suspension was part of an agreement reached between Prater's lawyer and the NFL. The league had initially threatened a 1-year suspension. It's happened again in Fountain. For the 2nd time this week, police arrested adults accused of providing alcohol to minors. 36-year-old Margaret Rangel and 27-year-old Lucas Salas are facing felony charges for contributing to the delinquency of a minor. Police arrested the two during a party at Rangel's home in the 700 block of Calle Entrada. That address is not far from a home on Rye Ridge Road where 4 people were arrested Wednesday after a similar incident. As KRDO News Channel 13's Scott Harrison reports, only 3 of 51 people at that party were above legal drinking age.
No, when people move in, I always say hello, but they're not very friendly. This neighbor wants to remain anonymous. She fears being harassed by people living in the home owned by Margaret Rangel. But the neighbor says there was already lots of activity at the home around 1 this morning when she came home from a movie.
Within 10 to 15 minutes, probably at least 12 to 15 additional cars came coming down the road. And just tons of kids piling out of these cars. Not a lot of loud music or anything like that, but very loud kids and drinking and cussing. And
she says police arrived within 5 minutes.
They don't have that tolerance for alcohol, so we get called there, and you've got kids that are vomiting, you've got kids that are sick, kids that are, drank too much.
Neighbors say this usually is a quiet neighborhood. They're not used to an arrest happening in their front yard, as one neighbor heard.
she was just screaming at the top of her lungs that they can't touch her, don't touch me, you can't touch me. And she was laying in some rocks in front of the house because they had to take her down.
Later in the day, police explained why there were so many minors at the home. Apparently, someone used social media to promote an 18th birthday party. Police say the kids who arrived did not know anyone at the home, but there were dozens of empty vodka bottles inside.
I guess you can just hope and pray that they'll make the right choices when you're not with them.
In Fountain, Scott Harrison, KRDO News Channel 13.
Police also arrested 2 minors for obstructing officers, resisting arrest, and disorderly conduct. The hometown of the journalist who was executed by Islamic State militants is honoring his life today. Looking ahead this morning, there will be a massive remembrance for James Foley in Rochester, New Hampshire this afternoon. A candlelight vigil in his memory was held last night. Foley's grieving mother and father somehow found the strength to attend.
I want to thank you for understanding Jim's heart, and I pray that we will take up the challenge to love like Jim did.
Foley was kidnapped on Thanksgiving Day in 2012 while he was covering the Syrian uprising. ISIS posted a web video on Tuesday showing his murder and said it was retaliation for U.S. airstrikes in northern Iraq. A police chief in a small Texas town was making a traffic stop when he was shot and killed in the line of duty.
You know, on even a quiet, peaceful day in South Texas, in a small town, it can turn deadly in an instant.
Elmendorf Police Chief Michael Pimentel was shot multiple times yesterday afternoon. He was airlifted to a hospital where he later died. The suspect is a 24-year-old man who had an active misdemeanor warrant for graffiti, but now he's facing a charge of capital murder of a police officer. Police in Texas made a mistake that a mother never wants to see happen again. She was pulled over and handcuffed at gunpoint while her 4 children were in the car. As Dave Schechter reports, police were after the wrong car.
Driver, let me see your hands. Everybody stick their hands out the window.
This is the moment that shook Kamitra Barber's belief that bad things do not happen to good people. Her car loaded up with small children, her hands above her head, then shackled in cuffs. Moments later, her 6-year-old son Ryan comes out too, with his hands in the air.
It makes me angry all over again.
How did this happen? Well, it started with this 911 call and a very clear description of a vehicle speeding down the highway, the driver possibly waving a gun out the window.
It is going to be a beige or tan-colored Toyota occupied by 4 black males.
I drive a Nissan Maxima that is burgundy reds.
No match. But after the suspect car sped far down the road, the 911 caller was now far back and thought the suspect was exiting the highway. And that's the very exit where police spotted Kamitra Barber's car.
The complainant that called in said that vehicle took that exit.
Put your hands on your head. Right here. Come on back.
Yes, sir.
Come on back.
What is wrong?
Watch in a minute.
My kids.
Hold on.
They're 6 and 8 and 10, 9. What are we doing?
Hold on a second, okay?
Sir, what is going on? Oh my God, you are terrifying my children.
We got a complaint. Vehicle matching your description and your license plate pointing a gun out the window.
In less than a minute, the officers knew they had the wrong car. You can hear them de-escalate.
Do they look young to you?
They do to me.
Gun down, gun down. Come on back here, son. Come on back here. You're all right.
Within moments, the officers are trying to calm the children's nerves.
It's okay.
No, everything's fine.
No, no one's going to jail. Everything's fine now. Everything's fine. Hey, stop crying. It's okay. It's okay. But everything's fine now.
Were they treated properly? Was this a proper stop that they needed to be subjected to that kind of
For the
intensity?
nature of the call that a weapon was involved, yes.
Barber understands the officers were making quick decisions that night. Nonetheless, she is still deeply troubled.
I need you to make sure that you have all the facts, because it doesn't. You can't just say, "Okay, I'm sorry," and then I'm over it. I can't. I mean, every time I listen to or hear or think about it, it bothers you. It's not, you know, I can't just say, "Okay, I'm fine. It's okay. It's not a big deal." It is.
Especially when you're 6 years old.
Wow. That was Dave Schechter reporting. In other news this morning, the president is ordering a review of federal programs that allow local law enforcement agencies to buy military equipment. The review comes on the heels of criticisms about the heavy military-style equipment that was brought out in Ferguson, Missouri in response to violent protests. White House staff members will lead the review in coordination with Congress. They will look at whether such programs are appropriate and whether local agencies have the necessary training, among other things. They are pint-sized athletes with a big reach. Coming up, a much lighter note, a look at the Little League team taking the world by storm as the team heads to the finals today.
And here are the earthquakes that we've seen over the last 12 hours around the western U.S. These are of any magnitude, from magnitude 1 all the way to the highest that you see on your screen, which of course is the 6.1 that the USGS has measured just off to the north of San Francisco. You see right there on your screen the biggest yellow circle as you look just off to the southwest of Sacramento. Complete details in that forecast for our neck of the woods are coming up.